Good afternoon, everyone. I hope you're all doing well. It was good to see you all in class today. Hope you enjoyed our discussion on creativity because it will actually factor a little bit into our next discussion on rebellion and confidence. So let's talk a little bit more about rebellion. Rebellion is really when we are trying to be creative and we're going against what people maybe tell us to do, what people expect us to do, or what has been previously done, right? If we're really thinking outside the box, it may be an act of rebellion in a way. So we can think about Greta here, who many of you may be familiar with as someone who speaks out regarding climate change. And she is a young teenager, if you will, who speaks very eloquently regarding climate change, and she has inspired people around the world to protest regarding the notion of climate change. I'm not here to talk about whether climate change is real or not, just saying that she has inspired many to protest because of her actions. So she is being creative in her ways to inspire others to take action. So her creativity is an act of rebellion that is leading towards trying to make change. Another example here is Malala, who spoke out about violence in her area of Pakistan when the Taliban was trying to ban girls from attending school. She was shot by some Taliban members, and since her recovery, she has continued to fight for the right for education, especially for girls in school. And so even though, people have tried to hurt her and harm her, she continues to speak out because she wants to create change. So again, she is using her creativity to be an act of rebellion, and she also has confidence that she wants to try and make the change with. So we can say that creativity is the greatest rebellion in existence. And what does that mean? This just means that every sort of creative act might have a little bit of rebellion in it. It may not seem this grand thing. Some smaller examples that we talked about in class today may not seem like an act of rebellion, but those two examples we just shared, where they're trying to create large social change, that may be an instance of them creating rebellion. And so sometimes we do have to temper our expectations on whether we're trying to be rebellious or if we just want to be creative in our thinking. Another example is here a designer, Alexander McQueen, who said, "We've got to know the rules to break them. That's what I'm here for, to demolish the rules, but to keep the tradition." So he is very, as we might say, an avant-garde designer who likes to push the boundaries of what design should be. So again, he's using his creativity to show a different kind of clothing, which could be seen as an act of rebellion. Now, unfortunately, there are times where rebellion can lead to conflict because people are always disagreeing about values, motivations, perceptions, ideas, even desires. And so we do have to sometimes navigate those challenges when people are being rebellious. But that's not to say that we can't do that. And if we do want to try and resolve any sense of rebellion or conflict, here are some tips, if you will, that we can help to do that. So you can read this over for a little bit, but I think what the most important way to do that is just to be open and communicate. If we can communicate, if we can express our own needs, if we can express how we're feeling, and if we can understand how someone else is feeling, we may be able to help break down these issues of conflict as we think about them. A final thought here sort of on this confidence aspect, right? Because there is a difference between self-esteem and self-confidence, right? Confidence, because we can fake confidence, right? We can pretend that we're good at something, but we may not actually be. But self-esteem is actually about liking ourselves, believing in ourselves, and having the confidence in ourselves that we can do it. So that may be different from confidence because we may just say, oh, well, I can do it, but you really can't. But if you feel that you can and you want to work towards it, that is regarding your healthy self-esteem. So truly confident people, they find happiness within, And people who fake it usually are depending on others for their recognition. And so they might have a lack of self-esteem. So let's think about these ideas of rebellion and confidence and how they all play into creativity. So we'll be discussing this next week in our class. Just a reminder about what is due before I see you in next week's class. That Project 3 step in which you'll be focusing on the interviews that you'll be doing for your project. And then you will complete this short quiz after watching today's video. So I hope you all are doing well. I look forward to all seeing you again next week. And just remember that I am always here. If you have any questions, you can reach out to me and I'll be happy to support you. Go Devils!